This is WFO Radio.
Hey, everybody. WFO. We are now on WFO Radio, and we are joined by John Force in an airport somewhere in America. John, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm here. Can't talk real loud. I got people around me and trying to wear a mask. So
I got you.
Excited to be on your show.
Well, thank you very much. And we are live and we're letting the audience build. We had, we're trying to deal with the travel schedule, right? And you're not the only one out there in the world that is, trying to get from place to place, but you're doing it for a great reason. Where are you going?
Well, my crew chief, Daniel Hood, my daughter, Ashley, their boy, Jacob, is having a birthday today, and they're having a swimming party. And that's why I flew back instead of going on, like Brittany went on to Brainerd. And we had a show in Nebraska at a ball and filters. So we were up there yesterday, and we got out this morning, and then flight was 4 hours late. And then we got here, and I missed my connection by like 1 minute. And anyway, so now we're moving on, but I got another flight going out here. So I'm excited, coming off a win, still just so tired, haven't had a lot of sleep, but I can't mentally even get into the win. But I do know one thing, Brittany won, and that was big to double up. That was most important to me.
You'd been wanting that for a while. I think she'd been wanting it more, though, because she had mentioned it many, many times to finally get it, right? To get it in the rearview mirror and have this moment. How big is that?
Yeah, she never really said that to me. She's she's really, she has her friends, but she's very much, her and I just, maybe I haven't been the perfect dad, but I try to teach them the business, and I'm tough on them. I know I was tough on Ashley, and I was tough on Courtney, and I never got to race them in a final. And if I did, either they'd win or I'd win. So we could never double up, and Brittany and I had that chance. I know it's real important to her mom, Lori, that we were able to do that, but it was really special. It was just, I didn't think it could happen down there in the interview because we were both in a final. I called out to Baldwin up there in Kearney, Nebraska, and I said, we're coming that way. We're going to try to bring you a win. But I never imagined we'd both get it, even though I'm very positive. It's just tough to do. The competition, funny cars, tough. I didn't even know where I was at in the points. I got knocked down to third or fourth, and then somebody tells me, gee, you're back in the game. But, I just really love the racing, and I love the fans, and that's what makes me tick. So we'll get through this week. I'll get home and see my grandson, and then I'll be away to Brainerd. We'll start entertaining the fans again and see if we can pack that place.
Absolutely. And you were very excited about the crowd. There's been some breaking news since my previous show earlier today where we spoke with Alan Reinhart. NHRA announces a return to Wild Horse Pass Motorsports Park in 2022, February 25th through 27th. So great to see that we're going back to Arizona and Wild Horse Pass at the start of the 2022 season, getting back to normal, back on the schedule.
We have our ups and downs with NHRA. You always do in life, the pro organization does. But I'll tell you, Cromwell, he come from the roots where we're all from. He's fighting every day, just like we do, to try to make it. And but nobody, wants a crowd any more than me. I even said it in my interview because they keep asking me, that young lady out there, announcer, she, what do you really want? Are you trying to win? I said, nah. What I really want to see is I want to see like Topeka on Saturday and Sunday was just great. You know what I mean? I want to see it at Brainerd. But what I really want to see from the windshield of my car, when I look out on that starting line, I want to see Indy packed. That's my dream. I missed Indy last year, and that's really what makes, and it isn't just me. It's all the racers. We live for a packed house, and that gets our energy up, makes us fight to fight, and things are better. So congratulate NHRA for Phoenix coming back. I know Peter Clifford, they're all working on it. Let's see where it goes.
You mentioned Amanda and that question, and I have that question too. Because I don't want to say you've got everything, but you set a goal to be a champion in drag racing and you did it. and you expanded your teams and you did it. You won championships with them and you got your daughters involved, and look, they've gone on to great things. And so you've been successful in everything. And so it's kind of the situation, like, you know, here you are. What does John Force want? When you said that about Indy, it got me thinking. And I thought, well, what if everybody who has been a John Force Racing fan over the last 30 years decided this year to go to Indy, like, and watch you at Indy as you're the points leader, as you're coming in on a hot season, you're winning races. Like, what if, you know, the old Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will come thing. Like we just saw that baseball game in the cornfield. Like, what if your fans decide, you know what, we're going to go. John called us. We're going to go. We're going to go to Indy this year and represent. That could be something special, John.
Yeah, you know, and it's just not me. They come to see all the categories, you know, the great drivers. The Torrance kid is hot right now, and of course there's Robert Height and Brittany with me, and Hagen. He's out there in the middle of this fight. Wilkerson with all the problems, him and Cruz getting their cars. You talk about two pros, you know, that made it back to the game after, you know, really hurting their cars really bad. But, you know, Cruz said something to me. We didn't get hurt. And it was like, wow, Cruz Petragon. You got to love this guy. He just fights, and no matter what happens, he picks up the pieces. And he goes, he was in the semis against me. And there's a guy who knows how to race. I love him to death. You know, win or lose, he always shows me respect, you know. But at the end of the day, if we could pack him into Indy, our sport needs it. Camping World, our new sponsor. Of course, I'm with Peak and Chevy and Auto Club and Monster and Flavor Pack and Cornwell Tools. Just, the list goes on. We want to perform for them. We want to sell product, but we can't do it without the fans. But then there's our inner structure, how we're built to look out, you know, on a late night qualifying and look at the stands packed. That is what makes John Force come alive. But every driver, and you know, that was even with my little problem there with Hagen, to see the fire in his belly, you know, when he got up and was, you know, all excited over stuff, you know, that is a passion, and that's hard to find in people. Robert hides the passion, but he buries it, and you never know. Is he mad? Is he happy? You know, he does not like losing. And so when I see it, I grow respect with people for where they come from, even if they aggravate me. And I'm not always right. I aggravate a lot of people, but I do love the sport. I do love the competition. These kids, I used to love racing Tony Petragon, you know, and Tasca called me and congratulated me mainly about teaming up, doubling up with Brittany, but he was all excited for me and just told him I loved him and see him at Brainerd. It's what we do. Drag racing is really a good family of people. And even with our ups and downs, we'll find a way, we'll get through it. And, but I love it. But to pack the stands, to look out over that injector and look down Indy racetrack and see the stands packed on both sides, that's what makes me tick. That's what keeps his heart going. And I'm praying for that. So I hope they come out, not just to see me. I hope they come out to see all their heroes of the sport, men and women. Come be a part of it. Indy, Brainerd, they're all part of it. But the countdown will be starting right after Indy. Indy's our biggest show on earth, is what it is.
Absolutely. But I can't help but think, though, you've had so much time in, and the sport is great, but you've got the largest fan base. It's just a numbers game, right? And like someday the people who call themselves John Force fans, you just called on to them like, hey, let's go spend this time together, because, you know, we don't know how many more any one of us is going to have at this time. And so let's go spend some time together. I love that you did it. That's the reason I'm bringing it up and that we're talking about it, is because I thought it was a very smart move. When you said it, like what I want, I was like, oh gosh, where's he going? What does he want? And when you said that, something for the sport, I thought was pretty great. Let's talk about some of the races that you had, because you had a tough day, John. Paul Lee, Robert Height, Cruz Petragon, just to get to the final where you run J.R. Todd. Like, my goodness, no easy runs, but you got down the track every run. You were on time every run. And what more can you ask? So just kind of walk me through your race day. Paul Lee got Jim Oberhofer over there. You guys went 397. You left first. I know you throw it in because you want to, but anyway you look at it, those numbers were good. and you were able to go on and take the win.
I almost feel bad sometimes. The young girl announcer, Busick,
Yes.
I think she almost feels sorry for me because she sees me trying to get out of the car, and I'm no spring chicken, and I'm stumbling around and getting ready for an interview. Just I don't have to ever rehearse an interview. It just comes out what comes out, and sometimes it's brilliant, and sometimes it's just stupid. That's just John Force, but I've always been that way. But the competition, she had moved. Here's who you're going to race the next round. There was a lot of questions. I got confused during qualifying, like, what would aggravate you most on the start line? I thought, well, if my crew walked off, that'd aggravate me most because I couldn't start my car. But in the middle of it, everyone's trying to build a great show. The TV, to put it on the TV that they produce with Fox, it's really good stuff. And I enjoy it. I'm looking forward to going home. I have a day there, and I'm going to be able to watch it. And I got Daniel Hood. He's evolved over the years. Austin Coyle really believes in Daniel, and he's got Fabrizi that can do a car from one end to the other. We got Barlam. We got a really rounded team. And when I put the Proc kid back, which I've hired an agency now, I've started my own agency. I've hired agencies before. I've hired people to sell my deal. Robert and myself and Kelly Antonelli, we've always sold our programs. But now we got to do B2B business. So we got to do a lot of stuff. And I want that Proc car back. And that's the first one I'm going after. And maybe we'll get Montana back. It all depends on how the market goes. But winning's what it's all about. And I've got Daniel Hood and the confidence in my team. I got some good old boys on my team. They really love me when I stink. They tell me. And let me tell you something. If you once again, you saw the final round. I already had people ask me, how do you flicker the bulb? How do you do that? I said, I don't. I never even knew that I flickered the bulb. I went in deep on the first bulb and then, okay, now attack it because this J.R. Todd is going to kill you on the start line. The kid's just really good, and he's racing for Coletta, and he wants to be great, and he is already a champion. But when I rolled on the first bulb, when I jumped in on the second one, I went right to my bulb. Like Robert always Height says, you don't worry about what's going on in the other lane. I went to my bulb, but what I didn't realize is my bulb was flashing. Okay, I'm not looking at it. My focus is on the reaction bulb, right, when it comes on. And there I was, I was in there deep. I had a 70 light or 80. And the other kid, they told me he got in there. He was dead shallow, and he put a 40 or 50 on me.
58.
So Jared Todd, yeah, you killed me out there. And I could see yellow out the window. And you try not to look over there. It's DHL. It's Coletta, the greatest, one of the greatest racers of all times. These are the guys that I set my goals after. He's not even driving, and I still want to be like him. And Raymond Beadle and Don Perdomo and these people, Bernstein. But in the end, I didn't even know. I got out the other end. I said, how do we do? And they said, yeah, he left on you. I said, always does. And then Daniel Hood said, he was dead shallow. He was really shallow. And to cut a light like that, he was right on his game. So you got to respect him for it. So I'm going back. I'm going to do some more work. I'm going to go home for a day or two and work my legs the best I can for a day and try to come back and do my job. And my job is to deliver for my team and to deliver for the fans and the sponsors. But I just love being a part of it. And I had a good weekend, not just winning myself, but to win with Brittany. And I know how she struggles and she fights. And it'll be a good weekend one week, the next weekend it won't be, but I know what it meant to her. And I never realized how much that it meant to her doubling them up. I thought she was going to cry when I talked to her. She was just like, Dad, you're running around here crazy. Let's have this moment, and it was pretty cool getting up on the podium. That pro stock kid, just young warrior with a lot of heart coming into this deal and just seeing him, I saw so much of myself, just wanting to be there. And that's what champions are made for. You don't do it to get rich. You don't do it to be famous. You do it because you love it, and the cheer of the crowd. And let me tell you, when you lost every football game, 9 a season for 3 years at Bell Gardens High as a quarterback, there was never the cheer of the crowd because you were losing all the time. And to hear that cheer of the crowd makes John Force tick. So I want to tell the fans, I love you, no matter where you come from, Canada, anywhere you come from. You know what I'm saying? Around America, around the world. Let's pack them at Indy. Let's pack them at Brainerd. Let's start there. But let's pack them at Indy. And if I was going to go out in life, I'd love to see that. I want to see that. That's most important to me, and probably people don't understand it. But drag racing is my life, and it is to so many racers that have been out here that still love it, and the new ones that are growing to love it. And we need a packed house. We need to bring our sport back, and we're going to. We're going to. That's a promise.
I agree. I love it. I love hearing you say that, especially as someone who is choosing to make my living in the sport of drag racing, to have you out there so passionate about it. But hey, we could talk about earlier on my earlier show, like, I think what's happening with you is amazing. I think it's something we've never seen in sports, and it's great, and I love it. But I don't want to hit you with constant questions about, like, but how are you doing this, John? Like, I prefer to watch it play out. I love it. I love Danny Hood, and I think he's doing a great job you said he knows how to talk to you, right? And I called him the Force Whisperer because he knows how to talk to you.
Yeah,
and
I like that.
Well, there was a movie, The Horse Whisperer or whatever, and I'm trying to get it to catch on. As you know, I threw it out there. But I want to ask you about something different.
I like it.
We had the Pro Stock. You talked to Dallas in the media center, and Dallas and you had a little back and forth. Dallas Glenn, the Pro Stock kid, and they had a big burn down. Not Dallas, 2 other young drivers. Not Bruno from TV. You know Bruno. He was involved in the big burn down, and they both got disqualified.
Yeah.
And you have been racing, and since burn downs were really burn downs, where, like, what is your thought on that period with all your experience? And have you ever been, like, is there a burn down moment from back in the day that stands out in your mind as John Force as the one of your career, because everyone's talking about the burn down in Pro Stock?
Well, let me back up here. I never did answer your questions. I went up against some tough competition. The track, a lot of cars were running 90s. A lot of them were running O's, but in the middle of it, I was able to get around first round, and I got Robert Height's second round. Robert always leaves on me, and I'm not trying to take anything away from me. I won the race, but Robert's one of the best leavers out there, and he continually helps me all the time. He's mad at me right now about my throttle angles and stuff because I went back to my old school, and sometimes he says, you got to improve those lights if you're going to have a shot at winning. And so I listen to him because he really does care. And he got in trouble out there, but I don't never worry about Jimmy Brock. And those guys will fix it. Trust me. And they'll be right in the middle of this thing. And then I got Cruiser. But when I go up against Cruiser, I know Cruz. He knows the game like Tony Petragon. He'll jump in there deep. He'll flicker bulbs. He'll do everything because he's one of the best. A lot of years match racing. I jumped in on him, and I still don't know what he did. But at the other end, just big thumbs up and go get him. And then in the final, J.R. Todd, I went after him. So I really had some rough competition, and I've got to give it everything I can. But rules are rules, and you got to play by rules, okay? And I hear a lot of stuff that sometimes I think, man, am I wrong? Am I believing something? Are we supposed to be politically correct? Well, like, I know we're in the woke generation, whatever that means, how the world, the government, how people think now. But I'm looking at the only reason you come is to win a race, and how do you do it? So if you're a real good killer on the lights and you can get, a good ET and get lane choice every run, well, that's how you race. But if you're slow like me because of age, and I have slowed down, and then I say, if it's going to be neck and neck, there's only 7 inches there. Okay. But if it's going to be right there, neck and neck, I better jump in there and get as much of that tree as I can get. And that is the rules. And I jump in there. And if the other guy doesn't choose to do it, he figures he's going to leave on me anyway. But in the overall picture, part of the reason I do that isn't just to get 7 inches or to hope for close race. It's to get my energy up. For some reason, when I jump in there, I almost scare myself. And my trees get better. If you back them down from how far you roll them, it's always better than I am in qualifying. I'm terrible. So it's kind of a process that you go through. So I wanted to answer that, what I go through with racers. But I do know one thing. I never drove any other kind of cars. I drove some front engine dragsters in the early days and fuel alders, and I've driven nothing but funny car. So that's all I really understand. What, Robert told me the other day that in some of the other categories, that if you put on a double bulb, they actually back you out. In sportsmen,
Yes.
they pull I never heard of that. What do you mean? Well, what if you did it by accident, like I did? Now, people don't want to believe it. They don't want to believe that I flickered the ball. And I don't have to tell them what I do. I just tell them because I don't care if they know. I do what I do. But sometimes things happen. I heard Torrance say it to my daughter. I didn't mean to double bulb you. And she's like, I don't even know, if she was even thinking about that or even cared. All she knew is she lost the round. But you got to do what you got to do to win. And, a statement was made to me, and then I'll get to your answer on Bruno. Got to be careful what I say about Bruno. He's an announcer. I'll get in trouble. But it's like somebody had said to me, well, do you really think you're going to fool me? And I don't want to say who. Are you really think you're going to fool me when you're up there, doing what you do? And I said, no. First of all, I don't have time to think about you. If I think about you, I've already lost. So I only think going in, this guy's good. I better get after him. This guy is like me, so I'll go for lane choice if I need lane choice. Everybody seems to do it in the final. They go deep. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I just choose to do it against the guy that can beat me. But when it was said to me, are you trying to fool me? Are you trying to fake me out? It put me back to my high school days as a quarterback. A quarterback turns and fakes a handoff, and his running back goes by him. He fakes it. He even looks at where the ball's supposedly going with the running back, and then the quarterback runs the other way. Now, is the competition supposed to look over and say, are you trying to fool me? Yeah, if that's even though that's what I'm not trying to do, but when I think about it, that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to make him think you're doing something different. You know what I mean? And football, you have time to do that thinking. In my racing, maybe my age or my mental mindset, I can't do all that thinking. I just go in and do what I do. And what comes out of it is what it is. Some days I'm good and some days I'm terrible. And, but I'm in the points lead. So, I'm going to try to hang on to it, but it's been jumping around here the last 4 races. I went from Pasca, went to Caps, went to Hagen, went to Robert, went to me. And so I don't look at that. Let's get in the countdown and then we'll see what we can do. But between now and the countdown, I'm going to try to get better. I'm going to sharpen my tools when I get to Brainerd and Indy in front of that packed house at Indy.
Awesome. All right. The Bruno thing though, you don't have to be careful.
Bruno, I know he has a lot of experience. He's been around, really like the guy. I know that years ago, I would go in and I'd be real late on the light, but it was never because I ever tried to burn anybody down. So burn me down is not in my vocabulary. I never saw it. Only one time in my career, and I want to be sure that I'm right about this, but I was told up against another driver that he wouldn't stage till I staged, and basically said he'd run me out of gas. I mean, you got to go in. Well, that was probably 10, 12 years ago. And I was really being stubborn about it. And I thought, oh, he's telling me that. So, stupid John Force thought, okay, well, I'll set on him too. And we both ran out of gas at the other end and blew up our motors. And that was the best lesson that I was ever taught. Like, you want to sit here, because an owner tells you, make him stage first. And no, if they don't stage, I go. Look at the guys that have set on me out there. I just go because I'm not doing what they're doing. So I did that a long time ago. I think my ego got in the middle of it. Well, I'll show him. If the guy hadn't told me that, I never would have thought about it. I would have just staged and not knowing what he's doing over there. But so what Bruno's doing, why they set up there, but I heard they both got timed out.
Yes. Double DQ.
So, look, if people want to change the rules and people want to say you only get 3 seconds up there, they want to see you get 25 seconds. It don't matter to me because the rules apply to the same to everybody. You know, it's just kind of amazing that when you go in and you put on your lights and the other guy, and I've had it happen before because I've put on both bulbs before against a driver, and I've had him say, well, you know, you screwed me up. Well, no, I really screwed myself up, because now you control the game. Right. Because he can sit there as long as he wants until he puts on his first bulb. So if a guy's saying, when you put on both lights, you're rushing me, well, that's not true at all. I didn't rush him. He can run up there, shove in his clutch, hold his brake, and sit there for a little while. Then he can put on his first bulb, and then he's got 7 seconds, and then he can run you out of gas. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I don't understand some of the things that I hear. Maybe it's just said in the heat of battle, and maybe I'll go home to Robert and I'll sit down and we'll go over all of it, and I'll say, could you explain this? And he'll go, Forrest, you've been doing this for 100 years. Yeah, well, I want to hear it again, because see, the only friends I got in the real world is a guy at the laundromat and the gal and the guy at the donut shop and the gal down there. That's where I go every day. And these are my friends. The only other friends are at the races. It's the NHRA, it's the media guys like you. It's the racers. Even if I fight with them, if I don't have them, I don't have no friends. And so I don't know I was coming back by a winner's circle, and some team yelled at me to take a picture with them, and they were all excited just to have me standing there. And I was so proud. I won there. I thought I was going to cry. Okay. It was just like, God, they just like being with you. And I'm 72 years old. I'm a silly old man. I really ought to quit. I shouldn't say this. My sponsors will hear it because they listen to your show. But my time's running out, but I'm going to hang on here a little bit longer. I'm not going to put no date on it. As long as I can be good and my teams can be proud of me, then I'm going to do it. And right now, I don't know if they're proud of me, but they sure make me think that I'm the best, even when I lose. And that's, it just makes you want to live a little bit longer, So anyway.
Amazing.
So I'm going to get on. Yep. I know I never answered on them. I don't know how to answer it.
You did.
I don't even know how that tree works.
You answered it. No, it was, this was a pro stock, same tree as yours. And you gave a good answer. And that was a complete answer. And I appreciate it. All right. I'm going to let you get back to, waiting for your flight. Yes.
I want you to hear this real quick. The lessons to be learned. When something goes wrong, you learn. Years ago, and it was Tom the Mongoose McEwen. And I always say it was at Orange County Raceway. Wasn't a national event. But McEwen came over in the final. And he said, and it may not have been McEwen, but McEwen, my Uncle Beaves, Gene Beaver, and McEwen were best of friends. And McEwen loved me, okay? And he always liked me, always tried to help me. He used to give me T-shirts because I had old rag uniforms and stuff. And he did everything he could to help me, right? And until we lost him, we were best of friends. But I remember that night at Orange County, his guy said, I don't remember if it was McEwen or his guy, but he said, we're broke. We're not going to be able to make the run. So you go ahead and do your burnout, but we are going to start it and pull up and stage because we want to get our round money. We got a stage to get our money. And I thought, oh man, I did a big old long burnout. And I remember thinking, is this the greatest thing in the world? I'm going to win this race, and I'm backing up. And as I'm backing up, McEwen goes by me doing a burnout. And I thought, I think he was in that Navy car. He used to drive the Navy car. And I thought, what's he doing? He's broke. And we went up, and my crew chief, Pluger, looked at me, and he pointed at the tank, and he goes, half track, buddy, you're going to run out of gas. And I thought, whoa. And we pulled up my stage, and we ran to the other end. And McEwen beat me, and I shut off. And McEwen got out. I said, I was mad. I ran over there. Hey, you told me you were broke. What happened? He said, I love you, kid. That's the best lesson that you'll ever get for free. And, it was like, oh, best, what do you mean? He means, don't let anybody talk to you on race day. You do what you do. Don't let a driver tell you he's hurt, or don't let him tell you he's sick. Don't let him tell you that he's going to kick your butt. It's all, if they do it, a lot of it could be straight, but a lot of it could be psychological foreplay. You know what I'm saying? To get in your head. So, I might talk to them. I might joke and say hi or good luck. I've had guys say, why do you tell me good luck? What do you want me to do? Hope you crash and die out there?
Yeah.
No, good luck to you. If you beat me, you beat me. So what I'm saying is lessons are to be learned by Bruno and the kid he was racing, because they both went home. But I don't know what happened, so I can't really speak for any of them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well,
That's
you
enough
just
for me.
a great John Force, Tom the Mongoose anecdote was awesome, John. Are you kidding? I'm sure everybody loves it. And I just want you to know we do have live commentary from people out there on social media. And just generally speaking, they're all very congratulatory and happy that you won and look forward to the rest of the year. That is, Fabrizi is out there, for instance. Hopefully that's okay. He says he's proud. He's proud to be part of the team. This is who is in the audience right now. So I just want to let you know what they are saying out there.
Fabrizi left me a message last night telling me I was a great driver. Maybe I was in my prime. And I'm struggling right now, and I don't want to hurt my sponsorships. I've got real good people, but I give them my heart. That's all I can give them, and give them everything I got. And I've got a great team. And tell Fabrizi I love him. And bottom line, what I want to see is the stands packed. That's what I want to see at Indy, and that's what'll make John Force. When that day's over, that's when it's time for me to go home. And right now, it's just starting to come back. Our racing. Thank you, Camping World, for all that you've done for NHRA and all of us. So love you, and thanks for having me on your show.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it. Enjoy your travel situation. Bit of a bummer, but hey, you'll tough it out. And happy birthday to the grandkids, most importantly. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
There he goes. John Force with us here on WFO Radio via Skype from the airport, and an hour and a half early than we promoted. But that's not what it's about. What it's about is I'm happy we were able to work with Sarah from John Force Racing and make this happen, because we got great insight into John's viewpoint on many things, and the mongoose story. Wow, that is some old school stuff. And I think that, he mentioned like woke generation, and I don't know. I think there's a deep conversation there, and I think it's kind of being put on so many different things. But what is true is that I think the most modern of people, the youngest of people, have grown up in a society that is much more kind and friendly and easy. Some might say softer, more comfortable, like however you want to say it. And what John just described is the world how it was. And I know this from my father who grew up, I talk all the time about how he's a Marine Corps drill instructor, but after that, he got into construction, concrete, masonry, placing, finishing, all that stuff. And he would talk about how cutthroat the regular work environment was. Not even competition in athletics for championships and checks and money, just to be the preferred worker, to not get cut loose at the end of the day. Okay, hey, you go home. You want an hour of overtime, right? Like 1 hour of overtime. And so you have to bust your butt all day long at full throttle, so that in the final hour of work that you're one of the select few that gets the hour of overtime. Like that's a harsh world. That's a tough world. And that's what John just described. And I think, and it's probably a good thing in many ways, that we, have made things in our lives more convenient and easier, and it's not as harsh, and coworkers aren't like lying to each other so that they can get their last hour of overtime. But that's how it was. And there's a million stories out there too. And John just shared one of them, and I appreciate it here on WFO. Hopefully you will all subscribe. And whether it be the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, please subscribe, or YouTube, WFO Radio TV, click the bell. We've got so many interviews. And when we go back and think about all the times John Force has come on the show and shared a moment like that with us, just different notes, anecdotes. Yeah, I'd love to have him video, but it doesn't matter. And yeah, the beginning of the show, the first 3 seconds was a little bit of a train wreck, but it doesn't matter. We had John Force give us just something great. And I appreciate it. And the young drivers who expect that maybe, and I should ask them, right? I should ask, do you expect that every driver should have to stage shallow and allow the competition to be determined based on your natural reaction, or is this more? And certainly John and Cruz has gone on the record saying it should be about more. When Jack Beckman comes on, it's situational. Final round, everybody's going in. Caps, when he at his choice, when he wants to. He reserves the right to go in whenever he wants at any point based on necessity. Because in the end, low ET doesn't get you lane choice. Getting to the finish line first with low ET of the two gets you lane choice. And if you can't get to the finish line first, it doesn't matter what you ran. It's like, hey, man, we ran low ET of the event, but I didn't get to the stripe first. And oops. And it would be great if you could only rely on pure reaction time. But there's a lot more to it. And I like that. I like that about the sport. So we did go early. I know we got quite a few people on there. I would encourage you to stick around and put your comment in the comment section about what you just saw or heard from John Force. And I'm going to tell you about the people who make it possible for me to do WFO, like Total Seal Piston Rings, the leader in ring seal technology. TotalSeal.com is the website. If you're building an engine, or an engine builder, or you have a friend who builds engines, you definitely want to put in their ear that Total Seal makes better rings and can help them find their hidden horsepower in their engine. It's as simple as that. And they've been great. Matt Hartford talked about Hartford a little bit early in our earlier show with Alan Reinhart. And go to TotalSeal.com. You can pick up the Hidden Horsepower podcast there. Also, Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School. Let me flash this. Boop. Samtech.edu, the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. Start your education at full speed. I'm still not used to the fact that they don't sponsor the Factory Showdown anymore. And when I think about Factory Showdown, I still think about these guys. And I'm so happy that Constant Aviation came on. But, what great racing, and so many young graduates from Samtech still in that category. It's been pretty amazing. And maybe you want an education. And something that's interesting is that they teach it the old school way. A lot of these machines now, you can go in and just kind of punch in some information, but it's not the same education as you learn the traditional way. They do it both ways. So it is great. Samtech.edu. Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School. Speaking of the mind of the driver, you can learn to drag race many different ways. I certainly learned from the School of Hard Knocks out there, and I have great success. But to learn from Frank and hear what he has to say and the mental approaches, second to none. One of the greatest of all time, if not the greatest. And the idea that you can go on a fun day experience like the Dragster Adventure with Frank Hawley and gain all that knowledge and burn his ear up with questions while you're driving dragsters. Of course, it started at $399. Think of how little that actually is. Sorry, guys, but really, it's not that much money when you think about the fun you'll have, the stories you'll tell, the knowledge you'll gain, and how long it'll last with you. And you can even set up a race. That's extra, obviously, the Dragster Adventure Challenge. Go to frankhawley.com, and when you tell them about it, tell them you heard about it on WFO. And just say that first, WFO. But when do you want to come in? WFO. And then Marvin Rodak. RodaksCoffeeandGrills.com. And I have yet to put Marvin and Matt Hagan together, but we're working on it. Over these past few weeks, I have yet to see many drivers face to face. Just at Kansas, it's very difficult to get out into the pits, but soon. And of course, our WFO Radio store, hats and shirts, and you got to go on there. It could be so much better done. Speaking of which, we got any web developers out there that are, very up on the current, most latest, greatest thing? Patrick, the webmaster, is awesome. And Alton, who did our current site many years ago, great. But I'm interested in hearing about the latest and greatest stuff. And I have found it's always best to just put word out on the air and then select from the people who reach out because they understand what we're trying to do. So let me know. Our friends at Nitro Fish, who did our WFO Radio 10th anniversary t-shirt. You can still get it in the Nitro Fish trailer. We got to get some more 2X, though. All my listeners are chubby. It's the way it is. I'm chubby, too. All right, let's see what everybody's got to say about John Force. Let's see what you've got to say. Tom's just checking in from Jonesville, South Carolina. Tom is a racer as well. I know him from back in the Miami Hollywood days. Good day, y'all. Deuces Wild here, says Mopar man. Jim Essex. Where are we at with Pro versus Joe? The Joe Costello versus Flying Ryan Ayler battle is obviously totally on hold because now we're in the critical junction of the year. The good news is, and I haven't spoken with Flying Ryan about this just yet, but we live in Florida This seems like a perfect deal for December or January because we live in Florida, right? When everybody else is trapped and snowed in and under snowbanks and cold and can't do anything, we still can. And so maybe we do that. It's just going to be so busy here at the second half of the year. Who knows, right? Mopar, my man. You guys could get their own show going on over there. Let's see what Bass Knuckler says. JFR being an all-family affair makes the team so much cooler. Winning the same event next to your daughter, pretty awesome. I agree. And being in the media center, which you guys don't get to see that, but the audio is up and out there, to hear what it meant to Brittany. And we're hoping to get Brittany on WFO. It may not happen, guys, just so you know. We always make the effort. Like last week, we didn't get Aaron, but he was on the week before, and then he won again. And so we try our best. And that's why you should subscribe, click the bell, and tell your friends. Like, these guys try their best regardless. Let's see. Mike says, as John said, lessons to be learned. Yeah, lessons to be learned. And we're always trying to get, kinder, nicer, and better, and more fair, and more everything. But man, Goose, they lied to him. They told him a mistruth, right? And they went out there and they taught him a lesson, and he learned it. That's that. You watch old movies. That's the way the world used to be. How do you think our guys nowadays would feel if, like, they just got, and that was a match race, right? For money, put food on the table. Whew, man. But that's the way it was. And that's the way it is. And we have to tell the stories to the younger generation. Know, like, hey, the world you live in, it's made by nice and wonderful people who have softened things up. And I'm not saying it should be harsh and cruel and mean, but it can be. So pretty smart to be ready for it. Sammy says, any Samtech people at the aviation store? I bet you there are some Samtech people at Constant Aviation. We'll have to double check, though. There'll never be another John Forrest National Treasure. You know what? While I'm talking to John, and it's good, but over the years, John and I, we talk a fair amount, and it's not about racing, because I recognize that everybody else burns this guy out on racing. And there's other things. But he obviously loves this sport so much, and you can only talk to someone. So, like what I was saying earlier on the show with Alan Reinhart, hopefully you'll all share it and you'll all listen to it, about him being exactly what this guy says, like a national treasure, but beyond that, a phenomenon of athletics, a 72-year-old man who goes out there, no offense to J.R. Todd, beats J.R. Todd in the final round. And J.R., John O. J.R. Todd Smith. Todd's been in the studio. He's the only crew chief that's been here because he's my neighbor here in sunny South Florida, where it is beautiful and fantastic. That's a team. And the team got beat by John and his team. They made decisions. They thought about it. They put a lot of effort into it. This is what it's going to take to beat those guys at this time. And they raced, and the blue and white car got there first. That's it. Whether it be staging or driving savvy or age, like who knows why or what. Does it matter? It doesn't. Force wins. 154th time. But I don't want to talk to him about how are you doing this as an older person, or making him think about that or dwell on that. Does he even know? Does he even possibly understand? Could he possibly understand? Could any person possibly understand what he means to the sport that he's in and the people around him? Whoever the team was who called him into the winner's circle and said, hey, please take a photo with us. Could he possibly understand? And the answer is probably not. No one person knows. Okay, let me personalize it with me. I get in here and I do this, and this is what I do, and I do it, and then we're done, and then I go do something else. And I'm trying to survive and make a living, make my family proud. And I have people come up to me and say, man, I love what you're doing. And it's like, okay. And I like, wow. Oh, okay. Wow. But I can't understand it. Now multiply that times 1 billion and you're John Force, and multiply John Force times 1 trillion and you're, somebody else in life, people who are saving lives, some of the police officers and people out there. It's just hard to understand. And I don't think John can understand, but it's for us to listen. And so Team Force rules. Great interview with John. Awesome interview with John. He's sitting in the airport, right? Great show with John. staring at the Yankee Bear. You're of all the teams, you're a Marlins fan. The Yankees junior, Bob. You got Jeter, you got Mattingly, you got Posada. Come on. Old school versus new school. There's so many ways to attack it. Anybody else? Age is a mentality. He is still young. It is a mentality, but it's also physical. Bass knuckler. And I say it all the time, and I've been open about sharing my experiences with getting a little older. And I shouldn't, because there's ageism is in the world. It's real. Reading glasses, that kind of stuff. There's something real to it. You don't have your energy. You can't just be the person you want to be. The body won't do it. It won't. It wants to. It won't. The mind wants to. And I will take that any day of the week compared to the opposite. Monday Morning Racer. Lee, what's up, buddy? I'll be there. I will be on the Power Hour tonight. Complex Power Hour. Those guys. I don't know what they're going to ask me, though. I have no idea, but I have an idea. Let's see. Monday Morning Racer. Right? But here's the deal. Old age and treachery. Exactly right. Any racer that thinks that they're owed something to be allowed, they don't understand what that saying came about. Old age and treachery. You've got to be fair. Oh, nope. I lost. Goose snookered him. Just like the movie stars love to talk non-movie things. Well, exactly. He's all in their heads right this minute. I love how they ask him, like, you don't know what you're doing? And he says, no, I just do my thing up there. And who knows? Now, maybe he's not. People think maybe he's fibbing when he's saying that. And maybe he is. Maybe he is. We just don't know. But that's his right. And if you get snookered, that's on you. Keep it in your own lane. See the light. Smash the gas. Get there first. Easy. Old age and treachery will overcome youth and skills. I thought it was like youth and exuberance. There's all kinds of sayings, many savings, right? One of my favorite ones comes from the movie. It comes from many places, but Robert Duvall in the movie Colors. I'm not going to say what it was, but if you watched it, son, let's walk down the hill, right? There's many different things, but here's where I want to end the show. Big thanks to the sponsors. We did a 2-day today. We're going to try to get Brittany, try to get Dallas. I'm going to be out there in Brainerd. People are asking me, are you going to be in Brainerd? I'm going to be at all the rest of the races for the rest of the year. I'm going to be at the rest of the races for the rest of the year. That has been the case. I'm very happy and proud about that. Love drag racing. Love this sport. But this sport needs some help, right? And seeing the posts and the commentary about the NHRA and the double burn down and who made the call, and hearing what Alan Reinhardt told us today about how people are thinking it's all planned. We do have a little bit of a problem with some of our fans out there on the keyboards. We really have a genuine problem. Like, people are fantasizing about fantastical scenarios that are not the case. At the end of it, you just got to come down, you do the whole math algorithm, you get down to it, and it's like, do you like this or not? Do you like it or not? It's not about who's in charge or who made the call or whatever it is, or back in the day. It's not about any of that. It's about, do you like drag racing? Do you like the feeling of nitromethane as it goes through you? I can tell you that the Colquitt, the punter for the Kansas City Chiefs, who's won the Super Bowl, okay? This dude has experienced the sensation of being in the Super Bowl. He's a punter. I know, I'm sure some of you are going to discount that, but still, he's a high-level athlete who won the Super Bowl. He let me wear the Super Bowl ring. Thing was as big as a baseball. And he's on the starting line, and he goes, I've never felt anything like this in my life. The wave, the sensory, the way it made my body feel. I've never felt this in my life. And he was hooked, and he loved it. And he was so he shared what he felt. And, maybe it's old to some of the people out there. Maybe they're sad because they're getting old themselves and things don't feel the way they used to feel, and they can't admit it and they don't understand it. But if you're watching WFO right now on a social media live stream, you're probably pretty open to adopting new technology. Our sport needs you people and the fans of John Force to listen to John Force. Like, what can the average fan do? John Force just made a call to his fans. There's got to be 1 million John Force fans. It's got to be. How about every John Force fan listen to his call and go buy a ticket to the U.S. Nationals and go celebrate your driver and his career. And John immediately, as soon as I said that, he doesn't want to make it about him. He doesn't want to make it about him. He wants to make it about the sport and Caps and everybody's got great relationships and everybody, right? But how about, now that John is not on with us, and I'm preaching here, I know it. How about we make it about John? How many more opportunities are you going to have? The last time John Force was at the U.S. Nationals, he won it. Last year, he wasn't there. How about everybody who has watched John Force go down the racetrack and appreciated his interviews and thought it was cool that he saw Elvis at 1,000 feet? How about every one of you and your families go buy a ticket to the U.S. Nationals? It doesn't have to be a top eliminator club ticket. It could be general admission for any of the days of the Nitro qualifying in the Camp World Series. But what if that happened? If every John Force Racing fan within 1,000 miles of Indiana decided that this was the year they were going to go to the U.S. Nationals and watch John Force race, maybe as the points leader, certainly as a championship contender, and certainly capable of winning, we'd sell out the place. The place would be sold out. If you build it, they will come. What about that? Can that be something that happens? Can that be something that starts? Can fans take that seriously? John Force, my driver, if that's your driver, told me to come to the U.S. Nationals, invited me to come to the U.S. Nationals. I'm going to do it. Is that naive to think that that could happen? Is the world so cynical that the relationship between a team, between a driver, between a fan is broken and they won't do that? I don't think so. I think it could happen. I think this could become a thing if all my fellow friends and media and drag racing and even fellow drivers got on the same kick and said, this is the year after the pandemic. It's been 2 years since we had like a regular U.S. Nationals. And I know it's still going on and I'm very concerned, but I've gotten off that soapbox. I can't tell people to do what they don't want to do. I did what I wanted to do and I did it. I'm done and I'm going to do the best that I can. But I'm going to the U.S. Nationals. You can bet on that. I'll be there. And I'll be loving every second of it. And experiencing drag racing for what's great about it, which is the people and the cars and sound, the smell. So there you go. That's what I got. I think everybody needs to do what John says and go to the U.S. Nationals. It is. It's drag racing's Mecca, which is a very religious kind of comparison. I don't know why we do that. Got hooked in 65, my first drag race, period. This is what I was talking about, Mopar Man. You don't need to write period. That's what the dot is for. Maybe next year we can get J-Lo back for a couple races. That is my hope. Thanks for the Racing Writers podcast tip with Reinhardt. It was a good podcast. Oh, good. Now that you've listened to it. That's wonderful. Thank you. Whatever. I'm me. That's why I get John. I understand Force, like the language, not the person. I get it. Get where he's coming from. I live in California. I cannot afford to go to Indy for the race. Man, I don't know. Steve, that's on you. You can do it. If you really wanted to, you could really do it. That's the thing. Just because you live in California, I doubt that you have zero disposable funds. But I'm not telling you what to do. That's your business. If all of John's fans showed up, where would the other people sit? Exactly. Wouldn't that be interesting to have a home crowd for John Force? Like maybe the John Force fans all decide to just show up and they all talk to each other on the social media and in the John Force rooms. And they're all saying, you know what, guys, let's just do it. Let's just do it. All of us together. Let's just do it. Could that happen in drag racing? You know what? I can tell you the Philadelphia Eagle fans do it when they go up against the Dolphins. You know who else do it? The Pittsburgh Steeler fans. Pittsburgh Steeler fans and Philadelphia Eagle fans. Those guys travel well. How about drag racing fans? Can drag racing fans, Eagle fans will get on a plane, they'll come to Miami, and they will crowd out the Miami Dolphin fans in Hard Rock Stadium. It happens all the time. Eagle fans, Steeler fans, Jet fans. Oh my gosh, the Jet fans, right? Why can't John Force Racing fans do it without the obnoxious nature? Sorry, Jet fans. Sorry, including my nephew. Force will cry if that happens, and justifiably so. Well, is it wrong to try to start something up? Get the campaign going? See Force at Indy? Create a hashtag? That's not for me. Any plans for Jody Lang to be on the show? One heck of a run this year. Yeah, of course. I would love to have Jody. Jody's been on. Jody was on. It's in the archive, but I would love to have Jody Lang on again. And it's pretty amazing that Troy and not Craig, the Northwest Nitro Fanatics, is hyping up Jody Lang. That tells you that the Lang crew is getting bigger. I try to get as many friends as possible to come out to the races. I tell people about it all the time. Yeah, you know what, Joe? Telling people is not enough. It's not. That's the problem with our sport. That's the problem with our sport. Because you can't tell someone, about the beauty of a sunset. Like, oh yeah, it's super great. The colors, it's orange. They're not going to get it. You got to bring them. You got to take them by the hand. Maybe buy them a ticket. Maybe go to your friend and buy an extra ticket and say, hey, I want to take you to something, and pay for them to go. And then make them buy you the concessions once they're there, because they'll be hungry anyway. And then you say, hey, I bought you the ticket, man. Beers are on you. And you'll end up on the upside, I think. Yeah, trickery. Let's get with it. Let's see. JL is a man. Jody Lang. Everybody loves Jody Lang, except no racing on Monday. Yeah. Not this year. No racing on Monday. I don't know what I think about that. I kind of like it. I know I'm not a traditionalist, but I kind of like it. The no racing on Monday. But I'll take whatever happens. Right now it's 0. 0 funds. Woodburn's the home track. Oh, of course. That's why. Jody Lang. Samoa Drag Strip Division 7 rules. We got D7 guys out there where it's still in the morning. Hey, the morning show kind of worked. We had good numbers. The numbers on this one will hopefully go up because we just came out of nowhere. We promoted 4 and we're done at 3:30 East Coast time. Spent a lot of time on my soapbox here. When I started the show, it's really about the drivers and they're just telling you who they are. The Ignition Show for me is that. I tell you who I am and what I think about a lot of stuff, not everything. But drag racing, right? Drag racing is loaded with passionate people, and you can't ask them to squelch their passion. And when John Force is on and basically telling us great stories and pouring his heart out, giving us the real deal after a great weekend of racing, gets me inspired. I'm inspired. And so there it is. Hopefully we can start a campaign. I probably won't talk about this again, though. Like, I'm not going to prompt people over and over to go and sell tickets. Of course, I work as a contractor for the NHRA, and so I want to see a packed house too. But this is for the Force fans to take it upon themselves. Are you going to be a unit? Are you going to be a group? You're going to do something not as individuals, but as John Force fans. Probably the toughest thing about our sport is that you never, like the soccer fans. I've been watching this Ted Lasso. The soccer fans, they sing songs, they get together, they parade down the streets together, they wave flags together. It's about a unity. It's about a group. And in drag racing, Yankee fans, of course, we're obviously superior to everybody else. And so we unify based on that fact. What if drag racing fans did that? What if they all wore their gear on the same day? What if they all made the decision to show up at the same race when John Force asked them to? What if that happened? What would it be like? I guess we'll find out. WFO.